Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you guys doing great today. And also, always practice a good personal hygiene, maintain social distancing, and stay safe. Right? Are we good on that? Okay, let's check on it. Psych! No! Always maintain social distancing between you and others. You don't want to get sick, right? Always wear your mask if you go outside and wash your hand every time, alright? So tonight I'm doing the reaction to top 10 scary Malaysian urban legends, right? Oh yeah, before the video start, I would like to wish all my fellow Malaysian out there, especially the Muslim, salam Ramadan al-Mubarak. Selamat berpuasa di bulan Ramadan yang mulia. Okay, let's start the video. Okay, let's get started.
Hello, welcome back everyone. I'm sure I don't need to explain this series to you guys anymore, but I'll do it for all the newcomers. Hello, my name is Danny Burke, and this is the top 10 scary Malaysian urban legends. Starting off number 10 now, we have the taxi passenger. The story goes that one night a taxi driver was working late, and as the clock ticked down to midnight, he suddenly saw a beautiful young
So I've heard a lot this kind of story here.
woman standing at the corner of a traffic light junction. She had long black hair and a flowing white dress. He asked her if she needed a ride. She got in without a word. The taxi driver asked where she wanted to go. The girl simply handed him a piece of paper.
Okay, first of all, why would you pick up a beautiful woman with a long hair in a white dress in the middle of the night? Why? Just why?
It had a number and the name of a road on it. The taxi driver wasn't sure where it was and asked if she could help him. She nodded. She kept nodding every time he went the correct way, but never actually said a word. They finally reached the road. It was very narrow, just enough for one car to pass down, and it was dark. There were no working streetlights. A mist engulfed the car. He tried to peer through the fog and see the numbers on the houses, but to his horror, there were none, just rows and rows of gravestones. He was gripped with fear and nervously asked if this was the right place. No answer came from the back seat. He continued to drive slowly, but then felt a tap on his shoulder. Too scared to turn around, he stopped the car. He heard the rustle of money and felt her hand giving him some cash. He threw it down without
Oh, the woman actually paid the driver. Nice.
even counting it. He heard the back door open and then close. He then sped home without looking back. The next morning, curiosity got the better of him and he returned to the same street. It was indeed a large cemetery. He found the lot number that the girl had given him. His eyes widened in horror as he saw the woman's picture staring back at him from a fresh gravestone. He later found out the girl had died the week before in a horrific accident at the very same junction he had picked her up from. It was a hit and run, and the driver was never caught. Moving on to number 9 now, we have the yellow Volkswagen on Cara.
Huh. Yes, the famous yellow Volkswagen on Karak Highway. I assume most of the Malaysians know this story, right? Right? You know about this?
Karak Highway. For many Malaysians, the Karak Highway is the most haunted road in the country. This
Yes, correct. Karak Highway is the most haunted highway in Malaysia.
is in part due to it having the highest accident rate in the whole of Malaysia. Aside from the reports of an eerie feeling along the road, there are some more solid stories. Perhaps the most famous is that of the yellow Volkswagen. The story goes that if you see this yellow car on the road, it will block your lane. It will then begin to slow down to a snail's pace, forcing you to overtake it. Once you do that, you'll continue on for a while until it happens again. The same yellow car will be blocking you, it will slow down, you will go past it, and then it happens again and again. After a few times you'll realize that it's actually just the same car, and what's even more creepy is that there appears to be nobody driving it. The only way to stop the cycle is to actually not overtake it. Some say that when you are overtaking it, the car will speed up and disappear into darkness.
Okay, so the question is, to overtake or not to overtake? That's the question.
Next up at number 8 now, we have the Lang Suya. This is said to be the
Lang Suyar. In Malaysia, we pronounce it Lang Suer. Am I right, fellow Malaysian?
ghost of a woman who died while giving birth to a stillborn child. The mother's grief turns her into a sort of flying banshee creature. On the surface, she will look like a beautiful woman.
And also we call this thing penanggal in Malaysia.
With long nails, hair down to her ankles, and dressed all in green. However, don't be fooled by their beauty. The Langsoya haunts coastal areas and attacks pregnant women out of jealousy. People believe you can stop a pregnant woman's corpse from becoming a Langsoya though. You need to place beads in her mouth, an egg in each armpit, and needles on her hands. This should make it possible for her to pass on peacefully to the afterlife. If everything fails, there is said to be one way to fight a Langsoya. You cut off her long nails and stuff her hair into the hole in the back of her neck. Moving on to
Nope, nope. I would never want to fight Langsoya. I would just run away.
number 7 now, we have the DJ.
Another famous Malaysian horror story here. I think this happened in somewhere around 90s, I don't know.
Around a Malaysian radio DJ. He had a late night show in the 90s where listeners could call in to share their ghost stories. One night a man called in to share his story. He said he was driving down a highway late at night with his parents, his wife and their baby. They were all asleep in the back and he felt quite sleepy too. He saw a large truck coming the other way but on his side of the road. It suddenly sped past him, but before he even had time to collect his thoughts, it happened again and then again and then again. It happened a few more times, each one as shocking as the last, and then it seemed to change. The truck started appearing behind him now. He realized it was chasing him. He sped up, trying not to panic. As he came over a hill, he suddenly saw a single headlight heading towards him again. He swerved violently to avoid it, but lost control of the car, crashing through the highway.
So the question is the truck haunted? Is it a ghost truck? Or just a psychopath driver?
Barrier and into a deep gully. Then he told the radio DJ that the crash had killed all of his family. He sounded distraught. Then he said the crash took his own life as well. He then hung up the phone. The DJ thought it was just a prank and laughed it off. However, the next day's newspaper had a story on the front page. It said an accident had occurred along the highway, the same one described by the caller. A car had crashed the night before, killing an elderly couple, a husband and wife, and their baby. The DJ was stunned. He felt the hairs stand up on the back of his neck. He rushed to play the tape back from the mystery caller the night before, but all he found was minutes of nothing but silence. Next up at number 6 now, we have the Merman. In
That one sent chills straight down my bones.
2006, shocking pictures began circulating around Malaysian websites that seemed to show what people were describing as a merman. That's a male version of a mermaid. It was supposed
Hey fellow Malaysian, is this thing real? This one looked like a salted fish.
supposedly caught by a fisherman in Teluk Buhang beach in Penang. There were 6 photos of the creature taken from various angles. They were attached to an email that was going around claiming that the newspapers were not being allowed to share these pictures.
I don't know guys, this one looks kinda sus. I mean, look kinda fake.
The merman appears vaguely humanoid in shape and seems to be about the size of an adult male. There were 2 long fins that resembled large ears on its head. It had 2 arms and was covered in fins from head to toe. A while after this, internet investigators claimed that the pictures had come from an eBay sale in Florida. But die-hard conspiracy theorists believe this is all just part of a cover-up and that there are more mermen out there in the Malaysian seas. At number 5 now guys, we have the Oily Man.
Haha, the famous oily man, also known as Orang Minyak.
The Oily Man is a sort of supernatural being called into life and controlled by an evil witch doctor. It can cover its whole body in a black oily substance that makes him practically
So we Malaysian have our own Venom. Ha! Checkmate, Hollywood.
invisible at night, difficult to catch, and makes breaking and entering extremely easy for him. It crawls up the walls and the sides of tall buildings. Once on top of them, it leaps from rooftop to rooftop. Some say it's like the Malaysian version of Venom, although the Oily Man definitely came before that.
So I have a question for you fellow Malaysian. Is the Orang Minyak still exist this day? The answer is no. Why? Because if it still exists, US would have already invaded us for the oil. Okay, enough with that US joke. I'm sorry.
We say this is just an ancient creature passed down through stories. Think again. As recently as 2012, there were reports of a knife-wielding oily man leaping from building to building in Malaysia. The residents of Kampung claim to have seen and heard him for 10 days. Moving on to number 4 now, we have the hotel
So, okay, last scene was like 2012. I don't know what happened to him now. Hmm.
bed. The story goes like this. A group of college friends planned a weekend trip to a Malaysian resort during their break. They booked one room with 2 beds, figuring they could save money by fitting 4 people in them. When they reached the resort, they wasted no time in seeing the local attractions for the day. They decided to freshen up back at the hotel before heading out to dinner. While one of them was lying on the bed, they complained that it felt quite lumpy, but they decided to not complain to hotel management because they already had too many people in the room and they didn't want to get caught. After dinner, they headed out to some bars before returning around midnight. When they got back, they got ready for bed. However, when they began to rearrange the mattresses to fit all of them in, they saw something truly horrific. There, sandwiched between the mattress and the bed springs, was the corpse of a woman. They ran out of the room and told hotel management. The hotel were keen to avoid any negative publicity and decided to pay the students a lot of money to keep quiet.
Whoa, 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 hold up. That means that hotel owner or hotel manager already knew about this and they decided to keep quiet. Why would you do that? You could at least call a priest or ustad or monk to come to the room and ask them to clean the room and get rid of the thing. You know, if you do this in the modern day, people with smartphone will record everything and it went viral, then your hotel reputation go boom, gone.
Still, this rumor began to spread, and now many young Malaysian people will make sure to check if their hotel mattress ever feels too lumpy. Coming at number 3 now, we have Janet's ghost. The story goes that Janet was a young Chinese nurse in Kuching's public hospital. Legend
Kuching Public Hospital.
says she disappeared around the late 1960s. This was at a time when there was an epidemic of kidnappings in the city. All the police had figured out so far was that the kidnappings may be linked to the construction of Satok Bridge. If construction of the bridge was held up, it meant that the territorial spirits were displeased. Human sacrifices had to be made to appease them. Apparently, they preferred to sacrifice virgin girls, but only use their heads.
So when I was like 12, I heard this story before. They would kidnap a child or a young woman or even a young boy, a teenage, I think, and offer them as a human sacrifice to the spirit guarding the area. If they did not offer the sacrifice, the construction cannot go on because it will anger the spirit around there. And if they offer a human sacrifice, that will please the spirit around there and let them continue their work.
This meant they would be decapitated and their heads would be embedded in the concrete pillars to strengthen the bridge. Eventually, they found Janet's headless body, confirming the police's theory. Her grieving parents buried her in a red dress and red shoes. According to some Chinese belief systems, if a woman dies wearing red, she will return as a vengeful spirit. They say her parents did this.
Yes, that one is correct. In Malaysia, we believe the ghost in red dress is more aggressive than ghost in the white dress. So if you ever found one, it's better for you just back away slowly, not to let the ghost know you're present there. Or you could just run away as far as possible, as fast as you can. Don't don't look back. I don't know.
She could return from the dead and take revenge on her killers. Then the sightings began. Villagers on the outskirts of the city reported seeing a mysterious woman dressed all in red. She would catch rides on motorbikes or cross ferries by herself. She would always leave behind Chinese hell notes. Her quest to find her killers continues, and she doesn't care who stands in her way. Moving on to number 2 now, we have the Toyol. The name for this creature is sometimes translated in English to goblin, but it's not the kind of goblin you're probably thinking of. This thing is much more creepy,
Toyol.
in my opinion. It's It's said to be the spirit of a small child invoked from a dead human fetus. It's traditionally described as looking like a near-naked baby with brownish skin, large fangs, and sharp ears. The toyol always have a master, and the master may use it to capture other humans. It's said that the owner of the toyol may become rich beyond their wildest dreams, but there is always
Correct?
a price to pay when it comes to the spirit world. Becoming the master of a toyol can bring fortune, but the health of every one of the master's family will steadily decline. They will eventually lose everything and then slowly die. The toyol are evil in their behavior, but childlike in their thinking. People use this to try and distract a toyol from entering their homes. They scatter buttons on the floor, leave sweets or toys next to them in the hope that the toyol will pass on and spare them another day.
Toys and candies, huh? From what I heard, they use the mung bean, or in Malaysia we call it kacang hijau. So they use the mung bean and spread it around the floor or somewhere around the valuable item where they keep their monies and gold and things like that. And when the toyol come to their house to steal, and toyol was like, "Oh, mommy, let's play with this. Count 1, 2, 3, 4." And I just leave. And when the toyol returned back to his master, and his master was like, "Okay, where's my money?" And toyol was like, "What money?" And that is how you avoid toyol from stealing your stuff.
And finally, at number one now, we have the horror. One day, a couple were traveling down the road to return to their hometown after a relative's wedding. They decided to travel late at night, and the journey was going well for a while, but then signs of trouble started. Their trusty Proton Wira began to zigzag wildly on the road. As they struggled to control it, the engine gave a last splutter and then died. The husband was shocked. He had just had the car serviced the day before. Now they were stranded by the road in the middle of the night and only about halfway to their destination. All around them was desolate hills and jungle. They kept trying to start the car over and over again, but nothing seemed to work. They gave up and decided to flag someone down for help. When that didn't work, the husband decided to try and find an emergency phone somewhere. The wife disagreed because she was afraid that he might get knocked down walking in the dark. He went anyway and told his wife to wait in the car. She waited for what felt like forever. The jungle trees seemed to shift in the dark around her. Then there was a loud thump on the roof of the car, followed by a rustling sound. She thought it was animals and decided to not get out of her car to check. Then another car's headlights began to approach from behind. The car slowed down as it passed, but then quickly sped off. She waited for hours. Other cars did the same. She began to worry more about the rustling sound from the roof and where exactly her husband was. Finally, a police car approached. It stopped a few meters away. The policeman got out and called to her using a megaphone, telling her to back away from the car slowly. When she got to the police car, she looked back out of curiosity. To her horror, she saw her husband's body on the roof of the car. There was a demonic creature feasting on his blood. This had been happening for all those hours that she was sitting in the car. The police quickly took her away and the legend began.
Okay, I have no comment for the number one story. It's just terrifying. That's the end of the video. And also, my fellow Malaysian, I would like to apologize if I said something wrong in the video. I hope you guys let me know in the comment section below. And also, guys, if you enjoy this video, please leave a like down below and consider subscribing to my channel. It will help me so much, okay? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.